Hello, this is News Plus on Viewer Television. I am Deborah Ndukaife. Now, the Chairman House of Representatives ad hoc committee on international boundary dispute between Nigeria and Cameroon, Honorable Benila, says there is a need to know the state of the presence of security agencies in the nation's border. Honorable La said this at an ongoing investigation hearing on the boundary dispute between Nigeria and Cameroon on Tuesday in Abuja. Now, following complaints by Nigerians living at the borders between Nigeria and Cameroon and the hardship encountered due to incessant incursions into the nation's territory by terrorists and gendarmes from neighboring Cameroon over disputed territories, members of the House ad hoc committee began investigation into more insight into the matter. Now, chairman of the committee says the hearing has become important since the communities in contention are Nigerians and the people are Nigerians. She says it is important to understand the role of the paramilitary and the military in ensuring the protection of Nigerian citizens in the disputed area in line with the ruling of the International Court of Justice as it concerns the disputed territories.
And we're also to have an interactive briefing with the military to know the role of the military, the paramilitary, and the security agencies towards safeguarding the borders and territorial integrity of Nigeria. So we're here to find out what is the role of the military. What is the role of the military in safeguarding our borders? Because as we know, Nigerian borders, safeguarding the territorial waters under the Constitution lies under the purview of the Navy. And we must thank the Nigerian Navy for their support when we visited Cross River State and Danare axis.
Honorable Benila ad hoc committee chairman, the Director General of the National Boundary Commission, Adamu Adaji, in his submission blamed the disagreement in the disputed territories to lack of understanding of international laws by members of the affected community. But this did not sit well with the representatives of the aggrieved community who see his comments and actions of the commission as unpatriotic.
We have part of Buria, Mokoge, Yende, Rumzu villages that were now relinquished by Cameroon because they were found to be on the Nigerian side. So if there's any Nigerian territory that is now falling on the Cameroon side, we do the same. Because prior to this demarcation exercise, the people had never really contemplated where exactly they are. But now the court has said, go and put the boundary down on ground. So as we are putting it, we are discovering that this is the line. Some of these communities are wrongly placed. And the agreement is, if a settlement is on your side, even if it belongs to that side, there should be arrangement for taking over and handing over. And we have done that over some settlements that were relinquished to Mishika local government area of Nigeria. And ditto some other areas, like we said, we lost 33 villages in the Lake Chad region, because these are villages of Nigerians. So if we were to go by the argument, we would have said, no, they are Nigerians, they must be placed in Nigeria, so the boundary must be changed to enclose them in Nigeria.
So that point of the judgment. But along the line, when they came to Rumske, whether you are aware, Attorney General, or you're not aware, when they came to place beacons in Rumske, which Nigeria gained from Cameroon, which is a tourist center, the Mixed Commission reported that they couldn't find watershed, that the watershed is missing. I'm quoting because I was on the field with the staff, former director of National Boundary Commission. So that the watershed is missing, that they cannot demarcate Rumsike, which is given to Nigeria, that they cannot demarcate that village because watershed is missing. And honestly speaking, my background is geology. The time we stood there, I told him, I don't need instrument. Watershed is the mountain peak. See the mountain peak. But they declined. No, we cannot enter Rumsike. For what? Because it's ceded to Nigeria. I don't know, Attorney General, whether you have ever asked this question, Rumsike, why is it not given to Nigeria? Why is it not beaconed? And why do our people are protesting? whether we are ceded to Cameroon or left in Nigeria, we are one tribe. I told you we have one local government there. So we are not doing emotional beating here. We are neither complaining that we are having some challenges if we are relocated.
Members of the committee were also not satisfied with the response of the Commission and the Attorney General's office as they suggested alternative means to resolving the dispute.
Out in the judgment, because if you are using a watershed here and then you are coming and saying these people came down from the valley and now you are using the valley, then there must be some interpretation issues.
We should try to be as patriotic as we can. Whether you are affected today or you're not affected by your decisions today. The thing that is lacking, the very basic ingredient that is lacking in this country is patriotism. I have not seen it enough. Because if you are patriotic, you want to protect the people, whether they speak your language, even if they abuse you in the morning, it doesn't matter. If it is your responsibility to protect them, you should.
For members of the military and the paramilitary, their role is basically to ensure the safety of staff and a cover for the staff of the Boundary Commission who are at the disputed areas to carry out laying of pillars and placement of projects. Present at the hearing were the Army, Air Force, Navy, NSCDC, Customs, Immigration, and the DSS. The committee is expected to submit its report to the House for further legislative actions. Now, the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, has allotted 13 states to heavy downpours that would fall between September 13th and 17th and could cause flooding. A statement by the Lagos Territorial Coordinator, NEMA, Ibrahim Farinloye, earlier today listed 50 communities likely to be affected by the floods. Virtually all the 13 states are in the north, and they are Kebbi, Kano, Katsina, Niger, Kwara, Zamfara, Adamawa, Gombe, Jigawa, Bauchi, Taraba, Borno, and Bayelsa. In Kano, floods might affect Somalia and Kunchi and Arugungu in Kebbi State. NEMA also cautioned Bindawa, Jibia, and Kaita communities in Katsina to prepare for the flood. And in Niger, the agency said Kotangora, Mashegu, and New Busa communities could be affected, while Kosubosu community in Kwara State should be ready. Now, following the recent attack on a Catholic church in Fada Kamantan, which resulted in the killing of a clergyman on his farm at Kujama in Kaduna State, the Commissioner for Police, Kaduna Command, Musa Garuba, has assured pastors from the 23 local government areas of the state of their commitment to ensure the safety of lives and property in the state.
We are trying our best, and people know. And I want to assure you that this thing now you have said is going to be considered. I'm going back with and sit with my management team and see what modalities, what strategies are we going to employ so that the people there and elsewhere can go back to their farms.
Chairman, Christian Association of Nigeria, Reverend Joseph Hayab, has said that a total number of 23 pastors and priests have been murdered in the past 4 years in Kaduna, with over 200 churches shut down. Reverend Hayab is hopeful that the security agencies and the states are concerned about and are making efforts to address the situation.
Police have graciously opened a door for us to engage, for us to talk together. So what we will do is to take advantage of his open door, so we can easily channel our cry, we can really channel our complaints. We can tell him, raise alarm when we see challenge about to happen. The fact is that what has been happening is that you don't even know who to cry to. But since the commissioner is willing to say, look, speak to me, tell me, where is the crime happening? Let me send my men. We will tell him. If we tell him we've done our duty, It's his own job to go out and fish out the criminals. But for him to even come out, it gives people some hope. Look at the language he used and say, look, I want something new to start happening in Kaduna. It gives pastors hope that, oh, something good is about to happen. We just pray that they will sustain it.
The interaction provided the platform to identify all forms of criminalities and flashpoints that will assist the police in re-strategizing its operations for a holistic and proactive approach. Now, the Office of the First Lady of Nigeria, under the Renewed Hope Initiative, has disbursed relief or resettlement package to 500 displaced victims of communal clashes in Plateau State. First Lady Senator Oluremi Tinubu made the presentation of 500 million naira to the victims at the banquet hall, Little Refuge, Jos, the Plateau State. Our correspondent Nasir Saidi tells us more. Let's take a look at that.
Stand by the trying moment faced by Plateau State as a result of communal clashes affecting several communities, the First Lady visited Plateau State to identify with the victims.
And since I heard about the unfortunate incidents of communal clashes, particularly that happened on the wake of the 15th May 2023 in Mangu local government area of Plateau State, this incident has kept me worried and concerned about the disruption of peace and sources of livelihood among the affected families and the vulnerable ones. The recent incidents in various communities have left a trail of devastation and despair. Homes are destroyed, lives are disrupted, and countless families find themselves displaced and without the basic necessities needed for survival. In times like this, it is not enough to simply offer sympathy and condolences. We must take concrete actions to alleviate the sufferings of those affected, and this is why we are here today, not only to sympathize with you, but to offer a modest support.
The First Lady then made the formal presentation of 500 million naira draft check to 500 victims of the attacks. Plateau State Governor Caleb Mutfan praised the First Lady for coming to share in their pain.
But let me tell you that with what you have done, the people of Plateau State will not forget. And therefore, I want you to know that before long, I will come back on their behalf to invite you to spend a weekend on the plateau. By the grace of God, Plateau will remain the home of peace and tourism.
And on behalf of the Plateau State Council of Chiefs and Emirs and the entirety of the citizens of Plateau State, so thank you sincerely for taking time to visit distressed Plateau State and to also extend such wonderful love to the people of Plateau State.
The 500 beneficiaries cut across 6 local government areas of Mangu, Riom Barikin Ladi, Bokos, Josaud and Basa, and each will get 1 million naira to help relieve their pains. Nasir Saidu, Viva TV News, Jos.
Still on stories bordering on Plateau State, the Plateau State chapter of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) has rejected the outcome of the judgments delivered by the National and State Houses of Assembly Election Petition Tribunal sitting at High Court Complex Jos on Monday, chaired by Honorable Justice M.B. Tukur and 2 other members, Honorable Justice Omakwa Elewa and Honorable Justice O.A. Adetujoye. Honorable Justice M.B. Tukur led the panel of the tribunal on Monday, nullifying the elections of House of Representative members of Barkin Ladi and Riyom Federal Constituency and Plateau State Senatorial District, respectively, in the February 25, 2023 elections and declared APC candidates as winners. Nasir Saidu was at the party, PDP party secretariat, and now reports the story. Let's take a look at that.
The judgment passed in favor of APC for Plateau Southern Senatorial District and Barikin Ladi Riom Federal Constituency has been rejected by the PDP Honorable Chris Hassan, while addressing a press conference at the PDP party secretariat in Jos.
The People's Democratic Party watched with dismay and trepidation the notification of the elections of our senator representing Plateau North and our member representing Bekiladi and Federal Constituency, led by Honorable Justice M.T. Tuku and others, Honorable Justice Omaka Elewe and Honorable Justice A.O. Adetuye yesterday. And the party rejects the outcome of the judgment in its entirety because justice was not served and it did not reflect the law and the interest of the majority of the people as freely expressed at the election. The judgment delivered yesterday by the National and State Houses of Assembly Tribunal, Panel 1, on March 2023 National Assembly election, which the PDP won clearly by majority votes in Barkin-Ladi Federal Constituency, and the Plateau South Senatorial District election was an electoral robbery, which is unacceptable to the people of Plateau State because this judgment is contrary to the will of the people of Plateau State and Barkin-Ladi Federal Constituency, which was freely expressed by the overwhelming vote cast for our party and candidates at the election.
The PDP chairman says the judgment did not represent the interests of the people.
We take great pains to tell you that the decisions of the tribunal on this matter utterly fall short of the expectations. We are here to tell you that the judgment of the tribunal yesterday is a judgment that we refuse to accept because it is bereft of substantial justice and a diversion of undiluted will and choices of the Plateau people in the light of the consolidated judgment recently delivered by the Presidential Election Petition Court in the presidential petition, which is not far from the petition here on the tribunal. It is worthy that as we register our appointment in this body of the tribunal, it can never destroy our confidence in the judiciary. Consequently, we have asked our lawyers to take the mandate of the Plateau people as their right of appeal to the Court of Appeal to reflect the wishes of the electorate.
The PDP chairman added that their lawyers are already notified to take up the matter to the appeal court challenging the judgment. Nasr Saidu, Viewer TV News, Jos.
Let's take you to Kaduna State, where the fight against harmful cultural norms and practices that promote sexual and gender-based violence has become a topic of discussion by stakeholders and legal luminaries who saw the need to speak out in a one-day sensitization workshop that presents a significant stride against sexual and gender-based violence in Kaduna as their advocacy intensifies.
Justice and the prevention of sexual and gender-based violence by fostering inclusivity, accountability, and conflict management to reduce violence in two states of Northwest, Zamfara and Kaduna State.
Leaving no room for injustice, the Ministry of Justice Kaduna State, joint with the International Federation of Women's Lawyers, says capital punishment is key for perpetrators of any absurd act as stipulated in the law.
Put in place stringent laws. They have to be very severe. Even though we know that the former governor, Malam Nasir El-Rufai, reviewed the law on rape. He now placed it on to castration.
We have zero tolerance for gender-based violence, and the government is not taking it for granted and is doing everything possible to ensure that the violence actually is nipped in the bud, and where it escapes being nipped in the bud, actions that are needed to be taken are proactively taken. Where there are cases that needed to be prosecuted, we will not waste time. We will not will ensure that they are prosecuted.
Just some days ago, there's a case reported to the ministry. A biological grandfather assaulting his granddaughter. So you see, how can you say she is safe with her grandfather? That is it. So everybody should be extra careful and vigilant, and we should also try to sensitize at all levels.
Security agencies have also promised to play a key role in curbing the menace. The objective is to see that the crafted practical strategies and solutions will be met for effective implementation in their various society. We'll be going on a short break. When News Plus returns, we'll take you through other stories. Stay with us. Welcome back. The Nigerian Army has started a promotional training for warrant officers to master warrant officers. This is part of the promotion board for the year 2023. Now, the promotion training was opened at the 3rd Division Small Arms Range in Miango in Jos, the Plateau State. Our correspondent Nasir Saidu tells us more.
These are officers of the Nigerian Army selected for warrant officers to Master Warrant Officers Promotion Board for the year 2023.
It is my pleasure to welcome you all on behalf of the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General T.A. Lagbaja, to Headquarters 3 Divisions, the venue for the year 2023 Warrant Officer to Master Warrant Officers Promotion Board. I wish to most respectfully appreciate the Chief of Army Staff for providing the leadership and enabling environment for this event at Jos. Let me also seize this opportunity to thank the host formation commander, Major General A.E. Abubakar, for the logistic and administrative arrangement put in place to ensure a seamless and hitch-free exercise. I therefore want to urge you all to put in your utmost best to ensure a hitch-free exercise. For the participants, let me first congratulate you for your nomination to be part of this prestigious board. During the course of this exercise, you will undergo physical and medical examination to ascertain your stability to pass through the rigor of the selection process. Please note that other areas where you'll be assessed include, but not limited to, personal drill, written examination, weapon handling, oral interview, document screening, and basic computer knowledge for the clerks.
The General Officer Commanding 3 Division and Commander Operation Safe Haven, Major General A.E. Abubakar, represented by Brigadier General Muhammad Kafur, Chief of Staff, 3 Division, challenged the officers to take advantage of the promotional training.
Warrant Officer to Master Warrant Officer Promotion Board exercise is part of the requirements for promotion to the enviable rank of Master Warrant Officer. Therefore, we are gathered here to celebrate the dedication, professionalism, and unwavering commitment of all of you in serving our great nation, Nigeria. This promotion exercise symbolizes the recognition of your exceptional skills, knowledge, and experience, all of which have contributed immensely to the success and growth of our esteemed institution and by extension our country. The journey of becoming a Master Warrant Officer is not an easy one. It requires discipline, perseverance, and a deep understanding of the responsibility that comes with the rank. I am glad to note that for you to have qualified to be here to participate in this all-important event, you must have demonstrated an unwavering dedication to core values of loyalty, integrity, and selfless service.
The training was officially declared open for the Warrant Officer to Master Officer Promotion Board 2023 on behalf of the Chief of Army Staff. The promotional training will last for the next 3 weeks.
And on international, the United States has confirmed that it had signed off on the transfer of $6 billion in frozen Iranian funds from South Korea, paving the way for the 5 U.S. citizens to leave Tehran. The arch-enemies announced last month, after protracted negotiations, a deal in which the United States citizens were freed from prison and put under house arrest, with the expectations they will fly out of Iran once the funds are moved to an account in Qatar. Secretary of State Antony Blinken notified Congress that he had gone ahead on a key part of the agreement, signing a waiver that will shield banks involved in the transfer from U.S. sanctions. The money transfer is a critical step in securing the release of these 5 citizens, a State Department spokesperson disclosed. President Joe Biden's administration has insisted that Iran will only be allowed to use the money to buy food, medicines, and other humanitarian goods, a point contested by Iran's clerical state, a nemesis of Washington since the 1979 Islamic Revolution overthrew the pro-Western Shah. And now the eastern Libyan city of Derna earlier today counted its dead in the thousands and feared a heavy toll after 2 dams broke under the pressure of torrential rains, releasing powerful floodwaters that swept away everything in their path. Now, given the difficult access to this town of 100,000 inhabitants, uncertainties remain over the number of victims of the disaster, which could have left several thousand people dead or missing, according to the authorities. Now, roads were cut off, landslides and floods prevented rescue services from reaching the population, who had to make do with rudimentary means to recover bodies buried by the dozens in mass graves, according to images broadcast on social network. Meanwhile, Derna and other towns are virtually cut off from the rest of the world, despite efforts by the authorities to restore cell phones and internet networks. It is worthy of note that this is the worst natural disaster to hit Libya's eastern province of Serentia since the great earthquake that shook the eastern town of Al-Marj in 1963. Now, Mali has said it had lost around 10 soldiers in an attack last week on a camp in the northern city of Gao that was claimed by Al-Qaeda-affiliated jihadists. In a post on its website, the army said a car bomb attack on September 8 caused around 10 deaths among the Malian armed forces. The Chief of General Staff of the armies, General Omar Daira, visited the site on Sunday, it added. However, no death toll had previously been reported. The Al-Qaeda-linked Jihadist Alliance Support Group from Islam and Muslims claimed responsibilities for the incident that the following day on the Al-Zaka propaganda platform. Inside sources said 4 people carried out the attack, and it took place amid growing tensions between government forces and various armed actors, and a succession of attacks and hostile acts around Gao and the ancient city of Timbuktu. On September 7th, at least 64 citizens, civilians and soldiers were killed in twin attacks in the north attributed to jihadists. President Vladimir Putin has downplayed the weakening of the Russian ruble as Moscow shoulders the economic fallout of its dragging offensive in Ukraine and rising inflation. Now, Putin has sought to downplay the effect of unprecedented Western sanctions on Moscow's economy since deploying his army to Ukraine last year. The ruble has shed around 30% of its value against the dollar since the start of the year, as Moscow grapples with falling export revenues and higher military spending. Russia has seen a considerable drop in revenues linked to smaller oil and gas sales, an effect of Western sanctions and EU goals to end its energy dependence on Moscow. And that's all on News Plus. Many thanks for watching. I am Deborah Ndukaife. Please stay tuned and enjoy the rest of our programs.